Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Explain This. I'm with the star of the show, Robin Riddle. Robin, we're remote, but how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am wonderful, of course. I wish we were in person. We're recording this on a very busy Black Friday for you, I know, and for me as well. I'm up here in the Tri Cities. So, quick check in. How's Robin doing?
Robin's doing great. Wonderful holiday. It's
Wonderful
been awesome.
holiday. Lots of family time. Wonderful
Yep.
times.
Great food. Yep. It was a great day.
Beautiful. Well, I tell you what, I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for this show. I'm thankful that you're recording with us today. So, lots to be thankful for. And I don't know, you mentioned this to me before we started recording about the topic of the day, and I have no idea if it's something to be thankful for or not. But we'll find out. And that topic is the elemental diet.
Yes.
So give us some context. What in the world is this?
Okay. So, elemental diet, it is a diet that is a liquid meal replacement diet that offers complete nutritional benefits, your whole nutritional profile, but it's all broken down into the most elemental form, hence the elemental diet. So, we're getting all the needed proteins, fats, carbohydrates, but they're broken down to their most basic level. So we've got our dietary building blocks there, but it's broken down to the extent that the body doesn't have to do anything to digest it further. So whenever we're
Oh,
consuming an elemental diet, everything gets absorbed in the upper GI tract and it lets the rest of the gut rest, which is typically the situations where we're going to use an elemental diet, someone who needs a full gut rest. So these would be people like someone with Crohn's, colitis, IBS, IBD. If someone's had some sort of GI surgery and they need a bowel rest post op, they'll do an elemental diet. Celiac, food allergies. There's a lot of situations where we can use this and a lot of different ways to use it.
so it's like I've heard there's lots of benefits to putting your bowel at rest.
Mhm.
But I haven't heard. I mean, I'm assuming you still need nutrients. You
Right.
still need stuff, and the elemental diet is a way where you can kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's dosed by a provider is the best way to do it. Technically, patients can, order this stuff on their own and do it themselves, but it's typically best to do this in conjunction with a provider who's telling you how much to take and when to take it. It looks like a protein powder, so it's just a powder that's mixed with water, and you drink it at set times throughout the day. And how much you consume is based on your daily caloric needs. And so, like I said, if it's someone who needs a bowel rest but still needs that full nutritional profile, great way to go about doing this. But it's also a great treatment for some of the conditions that I treat often, like SIBO or IBS.
Oh, okay.
So there was one clinical study that had 93 patients that had IBS, abnormal lactulose scores, meaning they had SIBO. Again, I always say IBS is typically a diagnosis given when they just don't know what else is going on.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's something like SIBO. So, SIBO patients, 80% of them that went on the elemental diet had a full recovery as far as all symptoms gone within 14 days of being on the elemental diet.
Wow.
So, it can actually help to starve out and kill off those bad bacteria.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, super cool. It's also, there was an IBD study, patients diagnosed with Crohn's actually. 28 patients with active Crohn's within 4 weeks of using an elemental diet, 71% had full remission of symptoms.
So it's funny you're talking about this as a treatment, and I
It
wasn't
is.
thinking about that way. So it is a treatment for common stuff that
Mhm.
I know you see in office and in SIBO and any sort of gut dysbiosis type
Yeah.
patients. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, it can be. Now, this is probably not the first thing most patients are going to want to hop to because It is a little bit on the expensive side. You're
Okay.
depending on what formula you buy, you're anywhere from $300 to $500 if you're doing this for a month.
Okay.
Um, depending on how long you're doing it, it's not the most fun diet. You're not eating any other foods. If you're doing a full elemental diet, you're not eating anything else with it. You are just drinking shakes throughout the day. But some people will also use this short term as a like a gut reset. Like you get through the holidays and you feel terrible because you've eaten all the junk that comes along with the holidays. You can do an elemental diet as like a 3-day reset to cleanse the gut, to get everything back to where it should be, and then go back into healthier eating.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this like a could this be used as a detox as well?
Yeah, it absolutely can be.
That's interesting. Would it affect your bowel movements or anything?
It does. So it can go two ways. Bowel movements are the way that the body detoxifies. It's one of the ways that we get rid of things that we don't need. So for some people, it actually improves bowel movements because we're just flushing all those toxins out of the body. It can actually take stool that's been kind of caught up in there and it can push everything out. So for some people, they actually have more frequent but maybe looser bowel movements because we're flushing everything out.
Mm,
Once we get through that part of it, if you're doing this for an extended period of time, you may actually see less frequent bowel movements, but it's because you don't have things pushing through that need to be broken down and digested and gotten rid of in the same fashion.
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
How it could be used as like a detox. And you said you could use it for 3 days or
4
14.
weeks.
Okay,
Anywhere
goodness.
from 3 days to 4 weeks, depending on the severity of what's going on. So typically, the shorter, just a couple of days, is more of like, hey, we just need a quick reset. Some people will do like a couple of days of fasting, and this could be done in replacement of fasting. So you're still getting the nutrition, but you're still giving your bowel a rest too.
Can you explain? You might have already done it, and it just went right over my head, which wouldn't surprise you or anyone listening or watching our show. It doesn't get to your gut. Why is that? How and
So everything's broken down to such a base level
okay,
that when we consume this, everything's absorbed in the small intestines. So all that gets taken care of up in the small intestine. So we're not putting any strain on the rest of the GI tract and having to break anything down and digest it.
got it. So there's and you did explain that, and it did go over my head. So
That's
there we
okay.
go. Okay, so it's just
So
not needing to be digested.
yeah, yeah, it's already broken down. Everything's already done for you, for the body.
That is
Um,
incredible.
yeah, so situations when we don't want to use this is not intended for weight loss. This is not one of those weight loss cleanses that you go on trying to drop a quick 5 or 10 pounds, because when dosed appropriately, you're still meeting your caloric needs every day. So if you normally need about 1,800 calories a day, you dose this to where you're getting 1,800 calories a day.
Mm.
So it's not intended for weight loss. That's not what we're doing it for. We also have to use caution with diabetic patients because some of these formulations can be very high in carbs. And so we could spike their glucose levels if we're not careful about that.
So okay, so you're not using this for weight loss. Um, I'm trying to think of scenarios other than SIBO and the obvious ones where you'd want to put your bowel at rest, but you still need those nutrients. But that's a big one though, not used for weight loss. I mean, you would
Yeah.
think that a more liquid diet would help with weight loss.
And you might lose weight with it, but that's not the intention of this diet. This is
Okay.
a really expensive way to go if you're just trying to drop some pounds. This is intended to be more of a medical treatment, not a quick fad diet to run through.
That's super interesting. And this is
Yeah.
so you're using as a treatment for SIBO. Is there a way you can test to see how this is working? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there is definitely testing. Of course, our GI map is always a test to know what's going on. Also, SIBO breath test
Yeah.
is a great way to know if that's what we're dealing with. And this can be used as an alternative to antibiotics or natural antimicrobials. Patients don't want to go that route for some reason, or if that route has failed, this is an alternative. And of course, we're also gauging based on response. are you feeling better while you're on it?
Yeah.
So this is intended, big benefits. It's going to bring down inflammation. So we're going to feel a lot better that way. There's even some people who will use this for patients like with autoimmune disorders that are in a flare, like if somebody had rheumatoid arthritis, they could use this during a flare to help bring down those symptoms because it's taking away all the food allergens that they might be exposed to. It's resting the gut, which can be beneficial because we all know the gut plays into everything.
Yep.
So there are a lot of situations like that. If we just want to bring down inflammation, this can be beneficial. Like we talked about, it does help with detoxification. So for some people, they might feel a little bit worse in the beginning as we work on that detoxification because we're getting rid of things that were in the gut. Sometimes the liver decides this is a great time to cleanse as well. And so the liver starts dumping out things that it wants to get rid of. So we could be really tired. We could have headaches, almost like flu-like type symptoms as we start to detox those first few days. And if you tended to eat not the healthiest diet going into it, if you had like a high carb, high sugar diet, that detox may be worse because you're if you normally ate 200 grams of sugar every day and then you go on something like this, not only are you detoxing, but you're withdrawing too. So things like that, definitely headaches, fatigue could happen. Some people will have some abdominal cramping going into it, just as the body starts to kind of regulate what's going on. But like I said, decreased inflammation, detoxification, decreasing bacterial overloads are big things that we're looking to get out of this.
Would you ever tell somebody to fast instead of this, with as a treatment for the same symptoms?
Typically, no.
Okay. Okay.
Like just straight up fasting is not shown to get rid of SIBO where this
Okay.
is. So if it was a case like that, and they should pretty quickly start to see improvements in how they're feeling. And then again, for example, if we're using it for SIBO, after we have finished, typically 2 to 3 weeks is what we're going to do on this. After we've finished that, then we start transitioning into what they call a semi-elemental diet, meaning we start adding back in some foods following either a low FODMAP or paleo type diet. And we're still also supplementing with that elemental diet formulation. And we start working back in more foods, start working down on the elemental diet until we transition completely to whole foods again.
How long is that transition period? Is that like another month or?
Depends on the patient, really. It
Okay.
can be done over a week or two. It could take longer. If they start adding foods back in and start having recurrence of symptoms, if they can handle the elemental longer, I'm probably going to encourage them to continue to work through that a little bit slower.
Now, is this a type of treatment that patients can find in a traditional setting, or is this mainly kind of found in functional preventative medicine?
It's also very traditional.
Okay.
I've seen plenty of GI doctors who carry and
Okay.
recommend the elemental diet for patients.
Okay. This is super
Yeah.
interesting. I had never heard of it, and you've done a phenomenal job. And your job is super tough to explain things to me. Uh,
You do
so,
good.
so you did incredible. I fully understand the elemental diet. Is there anything else we need to go over for our listeners and viewers today?
I would just encourage anybody who's considering the elemental diet to do it through a provider or a
Mm.
nutritionist so that you know you're doing it correctly.
So have some sort of supervision with it.
Yeah.
Robin Riddle, you explained the elemental diet.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. We're going to put this up in the next couple of weeks. So we're heading into Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. And we will see you guys next time, as always.
Don't go away.